Right, this Andy we're on. Today we've got Andrew Park. Andy is a music mogul, entertainment agent to the stars, and now author of these bad boys. And that's the reason we're here today, is because Andy's wrote these and all the proceeds will be going to charity. So basically what I'll do is I'll let Andy tell you about the books, a little bit about the books and the charity that the books are going to.
The books are going to the Cumberland Infirmary Cancer Unit, and so far we've raised £20,000, which to say I'm chuffed is the understatement. I've never in 100 years expected anywhere like £20,000.
Amazing amount of money, amazing.
Yeah, so the next big event is a charity golf day at Stonyholm, which is, I'll do a poster for you, which is for the 20th.
There you are, guys, all you golfers.
20th.
Great day out, so let's hope the sun's shining.
20th of September. And if you want to enter a team, which costs £60 for 4 people, my email is andypark8181@gmail.com. And last year we'd have 100 people. It rained off, fleming day, but I hope that doesn't happen this year.
Hey, what a memory, guys, by the way. I can't even remember my telephone number. I can remember back years and stuff like that. So, Andy, I don't want to go back too far, like, but where did you go to school, Andy, and how did you first become so big in the music industry? You know, where did it all start? Was it small acorns or?
Yeah, basically. I was born at Rockcliffe, and the address was Red Hill, so it's on top of a hill. And I went to the local school, and then I went to Eden School, and I loved Eden School. And I loved the sport because we had a fantastic cricket team, and I know it's hard to believe, but I used to be good at tennis as well. You know, not a lot of people know that. And I mean, one thing from Eden School, my father was the treasurer of the cricket club, so he had the keys to the pavilion. And I remember organising a game of cricket between Eden School and Dalston, and it was played at Edenside Cricket Ground. And the next day, in the morning, the form teacher says, Mr. Rollins wants to see you in his office, who was the headmaster. And I thought, I haven't done anything. What you always think the worst.
Worry.
Yeah. And so I went to his office and he says, I understand you organised a game of cricket last night. I says, oh, it was fantastic, sir. He says, I think you'll make a good organiser. So how did I start? I had a rockfall at Rockcliffe. That's what I always use them words. I fell down a cliff, and it was about maybe 20, 30 foot. I went over the edge, and I landed on my hip. But lucky for me, the tide had been in, and the sand was soft. So, in fact,
wow, very lucky.
Yeah, very lucky. Yeah, I could be dead. So about maybe a month later, my hip seized up, and I ended up at the Cumberland Infirmary under a famous fella called Mr. McKechnie. So to be honest with you, Killa, if anybody's responsible for me in the music business, it's Mr. McKechnie, and I'll explain that as we go along. When I went in, he said I would be on traction for a month, and after a month, they took some x-rays, and he said, we'll keep Mr. Park in another 3 months.
Wow, long time.
Well, 18, 19-year-old. God.
Wow,
was
so destroying.
So, yeah. But there's 2 things coming to the rescue. There was one music, and that was, it was the BBC, and it was actually called the Light Programme.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there was commercial radio as well. So I used to listen to the radio all day, and in fact, I can't sing a note, but I do know it's in tune.
Yeah. So what type of music do you like, Andy?
Oh, Motown.
Motown, yeah. So that would be the 60s.
Jimmy James and the Vagabonds.
Yeah, 60s, 60s.
So while I was listening to, after 3 months, I must get this bit in. After 3 months, Mr. McKechnie came again, and he says, "Oh, we'll keep in another 6 months." So we keep adding this up. It's almost coming to a year. And yeah, I know. So I would think he is responsible for me being in the music business, because I used to listen to the radio, and there was one show in particular, and it was, I can't remember the title of the show, but what it basically was, it was an 8-piece band called Bob Miller and the Miller Men, and they had to get off what numbers made the charts that week.
Yeah.
So if there was 4 made it, they had to get them off. And I used to look forward to their version of the songs.
That they did.
Yeah, just to see if there's any difference. And I think that's where I picked my ear up for music.
Yeah, listen to them. I mean, back then, Andy, they're all the 8, 9, 10-piece, all,
Yeah, all the cross sections. Yeah. I mean, today music, you don't hear the guitar.
Acoustic karaoke, I used to call it.
Yeah, it's a drum machine gone wild.
There's still some big bands about, Andy, because our cameraman today, Mark, he's with the Misfits, a 10-piece band. If you can go and see them, go and see them. He's also with a band called Superfly. They've got about 5 gigs this year, so
yeah.
Big shout to Mark, who's filming this and doing the IT.
He's doing a grand job, and we might have to do another
He is, just keep giving him sweets in his own, yeah.
I remember Mark from years ago. It's about the first time we met in about 20 years, isn't it? But anyways, so I'm in hospital, and after nearly 12 months in hospital, my father asked for a second opinion, and otherwise I still think I'll be there now.
Yeah.
But I got out anyways. But when I got out, I had to. When my leg came down from traction, there was sort of elastoplast either side of my leg.
Yeah.
So to take that off, well, if you can imagine, it took about a fortnight to get them 2 strips out. That was worse than when I went into hospital. So I finally got home to Rockcliffe with a plaster about 1.5 inches thick down my... to be honest with you, I can't remember now. It was down my right leg and halfway down my left leg.
Like Garfield hips and everything like that.
Yeah, it wasn't
like a plaster pair of shorts. Long shorts.
Yeah, long shorts.
Long shorts.
Yeah. And it was very difficult, and the staff at the Cumberland Infirmary said, be very careful on crutches. Well, that was okay, but when I got home, back to Rockcliffe, it was so quiet. It was, after hospital. And anyway, so my friends used to come and pick me up, and we used to go to the cricket nets. I know this sounds balmy talking about it now, but they used to bowl at me. I had one pad on. I didn't need another pad because that was plaster.
Great stuff.
And it was just great fun. And the other thing I'd done, the village hall had a snooker table, because I had the table to lean on to go around. I didn't need crutches. So anyway, that lasted possibly about 3 months, and I got the plaster off. And the next big event, the local youth club wanted to run a fundraiser, and they wanted a band. So because I was pop music mad, it was my job
to get the band,
to get a band. So I went to the King's Hall in Globe Lane, where everybody went. And there was a band down from Hoyk, and they were called the Diamonds, and they were fantastic. I thought, they're ideal, that's what I want. So I just thought I'd have a word with the singer.
And that would be done.
And then we'll sort the date out in the fee. Yeah. But it didn't happen that way, and this is one of my lucky break in life. Bob Fish, the singer from the Diamond, said, you'll have to phone Duncan McKinnon, Border Dancers, who's based in Melrose.
So he'd be like their agent then, or
Yeah, he was an
looks
agent,
after the band. Yeah.
And so I phoned him, and we agreed a price. I can even remember the date. It was October the 11th, 1963, in Rockcliffe for the job. So Duncan McKinnon says, where would you be on Friday? This was like Monday. I said, I'll be in the Crown and Thistle at Rockcliffe. He says, I'll come across and I'll bring some posters to help publicise your dance, because if you make a good job of this one, you probably want another. Yeah, I thought, what a nice fella. So 9 o'clock, Rockcliffe pub, there's two people come in. One's an oldish bloke. I would think about 50, I would have said, and I'm 20, and this other guy. So we sit down and we talk, and Duncan McKinnon knows absolutely every band in the world, and the conversation was fantastic.
Yeah, brilliant.
It was, yeah.
Man in the know.
Man in the know. And we've been talking for about 45, 50 minutes, and suddenly the other guy, he says, oh, I'm Bill Foster. I'm a director of a newspaper called the Killa Journal. Now, I'd never heard of the Killa
I've
Journal.
never heard of it either, I haven't.
And but it was a popular paper in the 60s and 70s. And so he said, would you like to go to the Cavern in Liverpool? Well, the Cavern was just... everybody wanted to go to the Cavern.
Beatles, the Cavern, Lulu.
Yeah, and so
Cilla Black.
I says, well, of course I would, yeah. He says, right, I'll organise it. You go to the Cavern, we'll organise the transport, we'll organise the tickets, and all you do is talk to a reporter when you come back, and we'll do a local news story.
Yeah, brilliant, yeah.
I thought, that's wonderful. And anyway, Duncan then said, this all happened within half an hour. Duncan said, if you're doing nothing tomorrow, I've got 5 bands on Carlisle Market Hall. I said, oh, yeah. He says, you don't have to pay to come in, just come in. And Bill said, why don't you take a notebook and a pen and if you like a band, just get the name, where they're from, what they played, and, so I said, yeah, I'll do that. So, and he said, then on Monday, bring your copy in, or no, not your copy, just come in, talk to a reporter.
Yeah, what you've seen and what you enjoy.
Yeah, do a local newspaper story on it. So, I went to the Market Hall, talked to the 5 bands, and I found them all really interesting.
Would they be from local, Andy?
Yeah,
Would they be from all over
from Scotland.
Oh, from Scotland, yeah, nice one. Yeah,
and when I say Scotland, I mean Edinburgh, Glasgow.
Yeah, that far, 90, 100 miles away, so
and
don't
forget, in these days, there's no motorways.
Wow, yeah.
There's no...
I can't quite remember that myself.
There's no mobile phones.
Oh, God. Christ.
And anyways...
Stop at the phone box on the way down and we've got to ring Andy up on his landline. Oh, great. God.
Yeah, you used to send telegrams.
That's a text, by the way, nowadays. In our one, it's a text.
Yeah.
I'll just say one thing. This is how old I am. I remember Bob Fish when he was in Johnny and the Rock. Oh, I'm ancient. Right, Andy, sorry, back to you.
I was talking to Bob last week, and if anybody should write a book, it's the one guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy.
Yeah. Anyways, so I went to the Market Hall, and on the Sunday, I'm trying to put these notes into a bit of a column to make it easier to tell the reporter on the Monday. And I remember my mother saying, you're wasting your time, you've forgotten all about the conversation. If you're talking in a pub, you'll have forgotten this. So I went to Anderson's on the Monday. All my mates couldn't believe this, they'd seen all these bands. And so I went to the Killa Journal, which was based in West Walls, where Tesco used to be.
Yeah, but you
across from the green room. And I asked for Bill Foster. Bill Foster came down and says, oh, Andy, he says, there's not a reporter in for you to talk to. I says, well, I've got a few notes here. He says, oh, leave them, the notes.
Yeah, like you leave your notes.
And then come in after work and you can talk to the reporter. So when I returned at 5 o'clock, I couldn't believe it. Bill Foster says, "We're going to print it word for word." He says, "Mine, we'll have to take the Rockcliffe crack out."
So obviously it was good then, Andy.
Yeah,
It was a good report, yeah. If you were enjoying it, you'd write it as a good report.
Yeah, and so he said, that is exactly what I'm looking for. And what I didn't realise, but I do know now, is that Bill Foster, this guy who asked me to write the column, he used to do a gossip column for the paper about 5 years before.
Right, so you knew what he was talking about,
yeah. I think he could see that my enthusiasm for music.
Yeah.
You know, and so...
You still see it now, Andy, by the way, you know, you still see you love music.
Oh, I do,
I think
I couldn't... I just couldn't... I think I've been lucky, that's all I say.
Yeah.
And, so what happened next? So Bill Foster says, if you enjoyed it, he says, he phoned us on the Friday when the newspaper came out, and it said something about why do Carlisle bands leave it to the Scots by Andy Park, and he said, he phoned us about 7 o'clock and he said, "Did you enjoy reading the copy of the newspaper?"
Yeah.
"Oh," I said, "fantastic." He says, "Would you like to do another for next week?"
Oh, brilliant. Right.
He says, yeah, he says, "We need the copy for Tuesday." This was Friday. I said, "Yeah, okay." So, I mean, again, this was just lucky. I went to the county ballroom, which was...
I've heard about that.
Yeah,
where the station is,
yeah, much again.
Station Hotel now.
And there's a band on called the Ramrods, and one of the Ramrods had been offered a job. I saw the rumours were in Carlisle to play in the Shadows.
Wow.
Somebody was leaving.
Big step up.
So I got this story, which was it ended up a non-story. Because it
that doesn't sound like Carlisle, does it?
Only in Carlisle. It wasn't true, but it made a good headline.
Yeah, brilliant.
So Bill Foster, same thing. Bill Foster phoned on the Monday and he says, "Would you like to do a pop column for us?" He says, "Now what I want you to do," and this is vitally important, he says, "I want you to come in here next week and I want to introduce you to a guy called Laurie Kemp." Now, Laurie Kemp, in newspaper circles, was the man. And he became my man. He became the guy I looked up to. And he said, "Andy, I don't know a thing about pop music." He says, "I'm more into jazz."
Yeah, that time in them days.
And you've got to remember, this was going from dance bands, jazz bands to pop music.
Yeah.
It was a big shift.
Yeah, big shift onto the popular music.
So he says, "I know everything about newspapers, so I'll help you," which I thought was wonderful. And so that's how it started. And when I picked the paper up on the Friday, my column said Andy's Pop Talk, and I had nothing to do with it. And that was a lovely surprise. And but don't forget, I'm running dances, so I'm running this dance at Rockcliffe Village Hall. So within 6 months, we're running dances everywhere. People...
Getting really busy.
Yeah. I remember this was maybe, 5 years ago, and I was in a pub in Scotby, the Royal Oak, and we were in the pub, there was about 8 of us, and we were walking out after about 3 hours, and this guy's at the end of the bar, and he says, "How are you doing, Andy Park?" And I looked at him, and Killa, I didn't know him. So I said, "I'm sorry, I don't recognise you." "Oh," he says, "you don't know me." He says, "But we went to your first dance at Rockcliffe from Scotby, 15 of us, and we walked there and back."
Wow.
So,
them days, people done that in them days,
that surprised me. So I organised, I would think, probably 400 dances in 10 years.
Wow, good
And to be honest with you, that's what I call my apprenticeship.
Yeah. So was there any sort of bands you booked in, Andy, that we'd know now were famous or close to it? You know, I mean, I know in Carlisle that we haven't had a lot.
Jimmy James and the Vagabonds, you can't get much bigger.
Yeah, he can't get much bigger than us.
He became,
he died, Jimmy, didn't he? Rest in peace, Jimmy.
He's the best voice I've ever heard, the best entertainer.
Yeah.
But there was all sorts. I mean, Killa had some fantastic bands. The VIPs, the Ramrods.
Yeah, a lot of the VIPs on that.
Rowan the Rockets were massive.
Yeah. I mean, I can remember, I can't ever remember a time in my life when I didn't know about Rowan the Rockets. It seemed like from when I was 14, 15 to even now, seeing Roo singing now, he's great to entertain Roo.
Yeah.
But you'd see Roo and the Rockets and they'd have their own following going with them and everything like that, and they're absolutely brilliant. And I can't remember a time in my life when there wasn't a Roo and the Rockets. That's been going on for years.
Yeah. In fact, to be honest with you, when the first book came out, Andy Park-Cumbry's Music Man, Roo wrote the foreword to the book.
Oh, nice one. Nice one. Yeah, he's a good guy. Nice
no,
guy.
I'm not 100% sure. Maybe Brenda, his wife.
We'll keep that one secret. We won't tell anybody about that, Andy, will we?
This is between you and me. Don't
just between us. Don't tell anybody. Sorry, Roo.
So what I also done when I was running these dances, I read in a newspaper that this dance also had a miniskirt contest.
Wow.
I thought that sounds like a good idea.
Yeah.
So there was miniskirt contests, and I used to get people like George McVitie and Willie Carlin.
These are footballers, by the way.
Footballers.
Stars of Killa United. Very good football players.
And they used to help judge the miniskirt
competition. Wouldn't be happening now, by the way.
No.
Wouldn't get away with it now.
I'll get locked up.
Impossible.
So this went on for about 10 years, I would think, and then in 1972, all these pubs here in Carlisle were run by the state management scheme, the government.
Yeah, you remember that, yeah.
And basically, they're sold up to big breweries, and I thought every pub would want entertainment, but I was so wrong. That didn't exactly happen. But I built my stable of bands up. I ended up with about 25, which was tremendous.
It's tremendous going, isn't it? Yeah. Them days you like the bands, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and along came the Twisted Wheel. Now, that saved my life, to be honest with you, because if that hadn't come along, I don't know what would have happened. But that started off one night a week, and within 3 months it was 5 nights a week.
Wow,
that was for 10 years.
Yeah.
And
that's 20 bands a month. That's brilliant, isn't it?
Yeah. And what I have a hard job explaining to people. The big thing in Cumbria was Sellafield.
Yeah, right. It probably still is.
It's probably still is, And of course, there's all these contractors working in Sellafield, so all the holiday parks are wanting entertainment midweek.
Yeah, for the contractors.
To get the contractors in. So I was booking 2 or 3 bands on 10-day runs, or for a week, and it just went on forever. And
the flying start that, Andy, getting the contractors are there and they've got nothing to do.
They've got nothing to do.
You put a band on and that brilliant. That's great for them, man.
That's right. So I done the wheel for about 10 years, and then what did I do?
So Tom Foster was in charge of the wheel, and he was the first person there was Tom Foster.
Yeah, but don't forget, he also had the Pagoda, Flops, the Kings at Hoyk.
Yeah, I've been to the Kings at Hoyk before with the Space Invader competitions.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Kids, that's a game from years ago.
He had Space Invaders. Now, how do you explain Space Invaders? What would they be called today?
Just basically the old-fashioned games.
Like a
the
game,
kids these days would, you know.
And you put money into
this game.
And it was either 20 pences or 50 pences, and I just love this story. When he bought the Pagoda, that was his second nightclub. It wasn't called the Pagoda at that time, but he wanted an extension on the back to make it, because I think it was Olivetti or some typewriter company or something.
Yeah, something like that. Unusual shaped building as well.
Yeah, completely, yeah. So when he come to building the extension, my brother Gordon had done a lot of work for Tom, and Tom phoned us up and he said would you mind phoning Gordon? And I said, why, what do you want me to ask him? I said, I want to ask him if I give him a quarter above the fee, if he'll take it in 50 pence pieces.
Oh, God.
Yeah?
Money's money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I phoned Gordon, and Gordon thought it was Christmas in June. He's going to give us another quarter if I take it in 50 pence. Oh, of course I will. So the extension on the back of the pagoda was to go down about 3 or 4 foot, say.
Yeah.
About 20, 30 foot long. And but the problem was when they got down to 3 or 4 foot, it still wasn't enough. So it ended up about 12 foot down for the foundation. But meanwhile...
That's deep.
Meanwhile, Gordon's little contract, there was going to be for 2 months, ended up for 6 months, and he got paid in barrel loads of 50 pence pieces.
Oh, God. We won't even ask where that come from in this day and age.
No, he wouldn't do that today. So Tom Foster was sort of vital.
Cog in pushing you forward.
That's right.
I suppose I remember Andy going back, and I'd be about 18, 19 then, but I've always liked bands. I love live music and stuff, you know. And on Tuesday night, I got the Twisted Wheel and the jam session on. Fantastic guitarists, drums, keyboards.
Yeah, proper music.
You know, real proper music, and you know, and I was so in awe of how talented the guys were.
Yeah.
You know, you'd like down there Jimmy Henshaw and Ali Burnett on drums, and Peter Barr and Simon Brown, and the full gang, and Little Stan and them, and I was in awe of them. I mean, Stan could play everything.
Oh,
He played spoons, you know.
Oh yeah. But I tell you what was interesting about Tom Foster. He was always wanting another nightclub. There was always going to be another, one more. And we used to go and see bands in different venues, and I was taking him to see the band for the book and for the wheel.
Yeah.
He was more interested in the bar, what beer they were selling, how much they charged.
Yeah.
And but there was just they were just happy days.
Yeah, good days, and I look back and I think they were good days because, you know, I mean, Tuesday night a jam session and stuff like that. Wednesday night, I would go with the lads. We'd go to like a young farmers' night.
That's right.
And I can remember going to the Shepherd's Inn in Carlisle, and a band called Geordie were on.
Yeah.
And the lead singer, Brian Johnson.
Yeah.
Now, Geordie they weren't for the night. It was young farmers. They weren't like Andy said, Tamla Motown, pop music.
Yeah, that's right.
Geordie were a rock band. They played, they went off. And the next time I seen Brian Johnson was with AC/DC, and it made it big time, you know.
Yeah. There was a lot of bands, and I used to say, how am I still booking these? They should be in the charts. They should be miles away. They shouldn't be playing in Cumbria.
Tambourine, Nessie, them lads, Roon Rockets.
It just goes on forever.
Johnny's Rocco.
I could talk for the next 2 hours about bands, but so anyway, so the wheel. What happened with the wheel? The wheel was taken. Tom Foster sold the wheel to Cumbria Leisure, and I carried on booking that a wee bit, but that came to a halt, and I thought...
Went down the DJ road.
Yeah. It went... my beloved wheel just went down the path. And so the next thing I know, there's this guy called Ken McKnight, and he used to...
Yeah, a good friend of mine.
Yeah, he used to... He used to run a newspaper called The Courier, and he used to write popcorn for him as well. And he phoned us up and he said, right, Andy, lad, tomorrow afternoon I want you to meet somebody. He wants to be the nightclub king of Carlisle. I says, what does he? And I says, where's the place at? He says, the Parliament Bar. And I said, what? You're joking. The Parliament Bar takes a bit of describing, doesn't it?
Yeah, we'll leave the description of the Parliament Bar. It was a pink sort of club.
Yeah, anyways. So he said, right, I want you to, I'll come and pick you up and we'll go and meet this guy tomorrow afternoon. So we went. So it happened to be the famous Jed Crooks. But, so I walk in this Parliament bar, which you couldn't swing a cat in, you couldn't set the drums up, Mark, you just couldn't. And I thought, well, where's this famous nightclub going to be? And he says, Jed Crooks says, Andy Park. He says, I remember you when I used to be a bouncer at the market hall. The Jed Crooks is about 5'2".
Yeah.
And I thought, a bouncer.
Small bouncer.
Yeah, small bouncer.
He actually was the doorman at the pheasant.
He was, yeah, and the pheasant, yeah. Anyways, so he said, how do I become the nightclub king of Carlisle? I said, well, you'll have to have bigger premises than this.
Yeah, yeah.
And he says, I own the street, Lonsdale Street. He says, I own the lot.
Monopoly.
Yeah. And I said, well, if you want to become the nightclub king of Carlisle, you book bands on a Monday night.
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, go ahead. And I didn't have to sell. He just said, go ahead.
Yeah, fantastic nights on a Monday in Buskers, the big bands.
Well,
Mark played there. Mark and his band with Stevie D and the boys there.
Everybody, I mean, the Untouchables, Hitchcock Railway and the Kid,
Tony Johnson,
Jimmy James,
the Right.
Jimmy James and the Vagabonds.
The White Vagabonds, by the way, as well.
Yeah. That was funny. It was I don't know if I can do this one, but I'll do it anyway. So, Mark, you can always cut this. It's about, I don't know, June, July. Did we go to Pippin's or was it the Apple Tree?
Yeah, it'd be Pippin's, and they converted from the old Apple Tree to Pippin's, made it into a fun pub, the Plastic Paradise.
That's right.
Lovely pub.
So we used to go there before Buskers.
Brian was the manager. Brian was a lovely guy. Brian was right, lovely people.
So I walk into Pippin's. Jed walks in. Jed follows us. He says, I believe it's your birthday on Monday. My 50th birthday. I says, is it? He says, do you have a look? He said, it is on a Monday. And he said, what band would you like? And I said, I says, if you could afford them, Jimmy James and the Vagabonds. I says, that's maybe just
a lot of money.
I mean, they were...
been in the charts and everything, and
that's right. Anyways, I said, but there is a way you could do it. And he says, what's that? He says, well, ask the brewery for a couple of barrels.
Yeah.
So the next thing I know, I wish I could remember the name of Greenhall's. Dave Fordy.
Dave Fordy, yeah. It was him and Martin for a while, but big Dave,
Dave Fordy.
Lovely guy,
yeah. From my cricketing days at Rockcliffe and drinking.
Yeah, Rockcliffe guy.
And he said, he phones us up and he says, Andy Park, I'll crucify you. And I says, why, what have I done? He says, suggesting to Jed Crooks that we'll give you 2 barrels for your birthday. Oh, says, this is news to me. This is news to me. So he said, I said, there would be quite a lot of publicity in it today.
Yeah, you like that.
He says, what sort of publicity? I said, well, 25 posters around the club.
Yeah.
In the windows. Do it. So I phoned Jimmy James. I says, I hope you were free on the 28th of September. He says, yes, Mr. Parker. He always called me Mr. Parker. So I phoned back, he says, I am. And I explained what it was. So all I can remember of that night was we went to Pippin's early, got absolutely smashed. Went to go into Buskers and the door staff wouldn't let us in, me or Jed. We had to go around the back.
Yeah, you're getting past, so you get past people, there's not many people in. Yeah.
So the night was absolutely fantastic. And all I can remember is coming out of that club, Buskers, with Dave Fordy against the wall, the brewery guy, and his feet went from under him. He just slid down the wall. And he ended up on his bottom and he said, all I could hear was, Andy Park, I'll crucify you. But no, that was Buskers, and
I can remember Jimmy James at Buskers, and it was the days when before Gerald put the air conditioning in, and it was like it was a hot place.
oh yeah, well
It was warm. You lost about 2 stone, and the old sticky carpets and stuff. But I can remember like Jimmy James playing, and he was so bright through his suit.
Yeah.
And he went to walk off, and I think he's gone in. This is before the upstairs in Buskers, and the kitchen was at the back, and he'd gone to maybe getting changed in the kitchen or whatever. And a girl called Michelle, who used to be singing with the bands, I can't think of her surname, but she jumped on his back like a piggyback.
Oh, she'll be soaked.
And I was just waiting for Jimmy James to keel over and that, but she kind of got off him like, oh, poor old Jimmy, and I thought, Jesus Christ.
Well,
but he was soaking with sweat. What a show.
I used to see him, I would see him 3 or 4 times a month. And whenever I went, I knew what number he was on by how wet his jacket was from the and he's
great act on there. I mean, he charted and everything like that. The songs are they're still popular now.
That's right.
I mean, the revival in the soul scene now is massive, and I hear a lot of Jimmy James songs and things. Songs I hadn't heard at the time. Jimmy was kind of working the big halls and stuff like that. But really, I seen him live, it was fantastic. He could sing, the guy, he had a good voice, a good soul voice.
I remember when he was at Pirelli's, and it sold out. Pirelli, which was a big social club at the time.
Massive.
Yeah, that sold out in a day and a half, the tickets.
Wow, that's good point.
Yeah, and so we're in the dressing room, and Maggie, the DJ, says, Jimmy, could you announce that everybody's got to sit down for half an hour and then they can come on the dance floor?
Yeah.
And Jimmy says, I'm not going to announce
No,
that.
I can't.
But he says, there's a little fella here, I'll have it round the club in 5 seconds. And it was really funny because everybody was looking at the watch.
And how long before they could dance?
I've never seen a dance floor fill as fast. And they were happy days.
The clubs were busy then, weren't they? You'd go to Derby Catholic Club, there'd be a 5-6 piece band on, Denton Home Club, Upperby, all over the town where there was massive bands. And even like a Sunday night, you'd go out and, I mean, I can remember seeing one of Tony Johnson's bands in the Denton Home Club on a Sunday night. Tony, Leroy, and a couple of the guys from the North East. Absolutely fantastic show on a Sunday night. I think it was £1 to get in, and they £1.
I've said that Jimmy James is my favourite band. I would say my favourite singer is definitely Tony Johnson.
Well, they want to say Mike Charlton there, Andy. He's certainly my favourite Mike,
I've been really looking.
Tony's a great singer, isn't he?
He was.
How he didn't make it big, I'll never know how he didn't make it massive.
No.
He should have been like Tom Jones and people, Engelbert Humphrey. Tony should have been there with them.
I'll tell you what Tony had. He had a fantastic voice, but his phrasing was good, his tone was good. I never heard Tony shout ever.
No.
He was just in tune with the music.
When Linda Wright came to Buskers, I mean, massive show with the brass section, everything like that. Great show. People came and they'd ask me what time does the concert start because it was that good.
Yeah.
And I remember Linda would sing 3 songs and she would go off to do a costume change. Yeah. And Tony would do a Tom Jones medley, and it was absolutely out of this world, and it was fantastic. It was worth the £2 or whatever it was to get it just for the Tom Jones.
What was funny about Linda Wright? Linda Wright was a fantastic singer, a lovely woman, but she did not trust agents.
Right.
Now, it took me, I would think, 6 months to sell myself to her. Yeah. Because
she'd be from the North East, was she? She was in Newcastle, or Middlesbrough.
Yeah, she's from the North East, and the North East, North East agents are strange.
Yeah, yeah.
They'll tell a band it's a pick-up and they pick up the fee on the night.
Yeah.
They get there and it isn't.
Isn't it? Yeah, yeah.
So Linda couldn't understand, working for me, how she picked money up every night.
Yeah, yeah.
She thought there must be some
kind of scam going on.
Once I got and she couldn't understand why I would appear at nearly every other booking. And she says, well, you seen us last week. Why have you come again? I says, well, it's a thing in life called pleasure. Oh, and that just didn't happen in the North East.
She was good. I look back now on the YouTube and things, and if anybody wants to see it, just put in like Linda Right in the Right Foundation, and it's doing the old gigs and things like that, and little tiny gigs, but they're all squeezed in, and they'd look Tony with the suit on, the vest underneath, and Linda like just like $1 million now. Absolutely, what an act! Absolutely fantastic.
See, the other thing that we forget today, everybody dressed up.
Yeah,
they dressed up to be on stage.
Yeah.
They made that effort. They didn't just go on what they arrived in.
That stage clothes, yeah.
That's right, yeah. Professional. So what happened after that? So we're into Buskers. So Buskers ended in 2005, I think, and that was the last nightclub I booked.
Right.
And
it would be handy because that was the Monday night scene, and it was,
But no, it wasn't just the Monday night. There hasn't been a nightclub in Carlisle since 2005.
No. Shocking, like, I mean, I think what killed the Mandy was when the pubs got the 2 o'clock in the morning licence.
That's right.
You didn't have to go and pay £5 to go to Buskers or anything like that.
That's right. Yeah.
But I mean, on a Monday night, I think it was about £3 to get in Buskers, and you were seeing 5-6-piece bands from the North East, from London, and another favourite of mine was Bobby Ball's son. Hitchcock Railway.
Hitchcock Railway, yeah.
And he used to come off the changing room bare feet.
Yeah.
And
what I used to do with Darren, whenever they were on, or the intro, we used to do. Mike Charlton used to do a voiceover, which was played in Buskers. And it was always the boys are back in town.
Yeah, I remember that. Because he used to actually run with the guitars.
That's right.
Running, brilliant.
Yeah. And I can remember Darren, and there used to be like a table.
I think they called it like the ironing board. I think Gerald called it the ironing board.
This pole, and I used to get him from the stage onto this pole. Yeah. And the crowd used to absolutely love it.
He was good. He was, and you think to yourself, I know his daddy's, but what a down-to-earth guy. I spoke to him many times in Buskers and that. He was a good conversation.
I mean, there wasn't anybody big-headed or conceited.
No.
They were all, we were just in a game.
Yeah.
Right? And we made money out of it.
That's
it. Enjoyment.
Andy, I can remember going one Monday night and seeing Sweet Sensation on the Buskers. On a Monday, on the Tuesday, I was in Blackpool for a couple of days. Went into Brannigan's in Blackpool, and Sweet Sensation on again, they're waving. How you doing? And we drove all the way down to watch the actors. I said, yes. I didn't tell them I was down for a couple of days holiday.
Yeah.
I just said, I enjoyed it that much in Buskers, Carlisle, that I've come to Blackpool.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing acts them days. I mean, even before then, your Nesses and Tambourines are fantastic musicians. Yeah. I mean, the Nessie I can remember would be Peter Barr, Simon, Mally and them,
Yeah.
And they would play the wheel probably like a Tuesday, Wednesday night.
I'm just gonna do this little crack for Mark.
Yep.
We had a Nessie reunion. This was before lockdown, and we standing. Yeah, it must have been before lockdown because we were outside Jim Dyson music shop.
Yeah,
before lockdown. Yeah. And I just said to Willie, I says, I can't remember how busy it was. And he says, I can remember phoning you from a call box. And this is where he put money in. And he said, we've done 35 nights on the trot, can we have a night off? Yeah, and this is without motorways, without,
That's something like that, you think no motorways in an old Bedford van, the big in them days and that,
Yeah. So that was, I think that covers most of that. If you want to know about the books, I can do a bit on the books.
Yeah, what we're doing, I'll just move this golf one out of the way. Anybody want to play golf, by the way, that's it there. These are the two books.
Yeah, we'll start with this one.
We'll start with the first book here, and I'll show you that.
I'll put it there. I'm good at this sort of thing.
There you go, look, natural.
Right, in lockdown, when Boris closed the country, I said to there's 83 cancellations one afternoon.
Oh, wow.
So I said to Marjorie, my wife, I says, what the hell am I going to do? And she says, well, you've been going to write your book. Why don't you just do it? Prior to this, there was a guy called Addison. I can't remember his first name. He used to be the editor of News and Star.
Yeah, it should be a clever lad.
And he said, oh, this is about 20 years ago, have you thought about doing your life story? I said, I haven't, no. He says, I think you should and I'll help you. So he lived at Dalston, and so I went to his house to start writing this book. But the problem was the test match on the telly.
So you're watching telly all the time instead of writing.
So there was about, I think we'd done about 10 pages of this book. So that was the only thing I'd ever done. And so I thought, yeah, that's a good idea, I'll do that. So that book took 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, 6 months to produce that.
Wow.
And to be honest with you, the feedback has been tremendous. I'm proud of it, to be honest with you.
The thing is, Andy, if it was easy, everybody would be doing it. You put the time in, you know, you wrote a fantastic book there and stuff. And also, at the end of the day, I mean, I take my hat off here, the £20,000.
Yeah, but I must explain about this book. The reason this book is so good is because of a kind of guy called Malcolm Little.
Yeah, no, Malcolm.
Yeah, he designed the book. And I always say to Malcolm, I says, you're the guy that makes me look good.
Yeah.
Because it is. And I was just thinking last night, you'd ask me what my favourite story is in that book, so I'm just going to do it, whether you like it or not. There used to be the police headquarters at Cockham House. There was a building company called Twynham's.
Yeah.
And they had a social club. Mark, you'll like this one. There was a social club, and most of the people in the social club were policemen, because it was a police headquarters.
Yeah.
And anyways, the social club closed, and the next thing I know, I get a phone call from the police at Cockham House to say that they're taking over Twynham Social Club as a police social club.
Oh, God.
So for the opening night, could they book the best band they've got? Okay, it wasn't Jimmy James and the Vagabonds, but it was an expensive band. So I thought, this I think it was a Wednesday or a Thursday. And so I had Johnny Marodi, but I couldn't get hold of him. So I thought, I'll drive over myself, and because if anybody knows me, I don't like driving. So I went through the Cockham House to what I call Twynham Social Club, and I've got this band on, and they are going a bomb. And I'm standing at the end of the bar with a Coke. And this policeman, the guy that booked the band, come across and he says, what's the matter with you? And I says, nothing, why? He says, that band's fantastic. I says, yeah, I know they are, that's why I booked them. He says, well, but you don't seem very happy. I said, well, I've driven over and I'm on Coke. He says, leave it with me. So I come back about 10 minutes later and he says, no more than 4 pints. He says, yeah, I says, what 4 pints? He says, we'll give you a police escort from here to Carlisle. I says, you're joking?
You got away with it them days, eh?
Yeah. So anyway, so the end of the night comes, and this policeman with the police car comes across and says, oh, are you Andy Park? He says, I says, I am, yeah. He says, right, I want to take you to Wigton. I says, oh, right, okay. So he says, but stop a good bit behind me, don't come too close. He says, I know you've had 4 pints, but we're just going to go back at 40, 50 mile an hour. I said, hey, perfect. I said, I don't like driving fast anyways. So we get to Wigton and he slows us down and he says, right, I hope you've enjoyed your night. And he says, oh, by the way, that band was fantastic. I said, oh, thank you. He says, he's the next guy going to take you on to the outskirts of Carlisle.
Right.
So I meet this guy and he said the same thing. So we get to the outskirts of Carlisle and there's a swap over. And the guy who was taking me into town, I used to drink with him at the Twisted Wheel.
Right.
A policeman. Oh, he says, we're going to have some fun here. And so I told him where I lived. So he got about 100 yards from where I lived and he put the whole lot on, the flashes, the sweep. It was just tremendous. So I got outside our house and waved him good night and I'm going to bed saying, did that really happen?
Yeah, you dreamt
So
it.
the next morning when I get up, all the neighbours are saying, what the hell happened on the street last night? I says, I don't really know because I must have slept through it. But
Amazing.
I love that story. That's quite good. So basically, that's that book. So what do we do with that?
By the way, if anybody wants a copy of the books,
I'll just had a reprint. Oh, I tell you, Mark, I'll just put this one up.
Yeah.
So that's both the books.
You go on his website there and his email address and everything like that, anybody that wants the books and stuff.
Right, so...
Great for the beach this time of year and stuff like that, you know, and going back in time and things like that, you know. And,
well, let's be honest, there's not much to look forward to like this.
Oh, God. I don't think we'll be seeing any 5-piece bands for a long time.
No, I don't think we will. No. So I produced this book, and well, Malcolm did, and so I've got a friend called Chester, and Chester is the son of Bill Foster, the guy that asked me to write.
Right at the very start,
So I said, any ideas what I do? Because this is the new world to me. And I said, should I get I costed it, and it wanted about 70 copies to make it pay.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I'll order 100. And Chester says, I think you best order 150. So I ordered 150. And we priced it at £15 plus postage.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, that book, the first one, Music Man, that kept me in business through lockdown. Because don't forget, I've got the same expenses with no income.
With no income coming in, no bands for anything.
That's right.
Wow.
So the £10 of that book, that kept me in business.
Yeah.
Right. So the fee...
Scary times, Andy, lockdown, wasn't it? Scary times.
So basically you could say, well, apart from my private business, private money, I had a good lockdown.
Yeah.
Because I sold all them books, and that sold about 700.
Look at all the kids now. I think a few people had good lockdowns on, and even all the newborns and everything.
Oh, that's right, yeah. So it came out November, December, and it made an ideal Christmas present. That was the lucky bit, you know. But the feedback was from all over the world. I couldn't believe.
How far the book had gone,
Yeah. In fact, the start of Centre Stage, I decided, right, I think I best to go to the Creme. When Laurie Kemp died, at the Creme was Chester Foster, the guy you just mentioned.
Yeah.
And he came across to me and he said, have you ever thought about writing your life story? And I said, yeah. This is before Music Man. And he says, because I've got a bit news for you. And I said, oh, what's the news? He says, if you want to look at your columns that you wrote in the 60s.
I still got them.
No, I'll tell you where they were. They're in the archives, the Lady Guildfords.
Yeah, oh yes,
just
yeah,
along the road
yeah,
here.
oh, wow.
Yeah, so what we done, we went with a camera and took a picture of every one of them, all 200. So they're all in my computer.
Brilliant.
So that's the second book. That's what Centre Stage is basically.
Yeah.
And I just love this little. It's a little throwaway story. The first night after lockdown, we went for a meal, 4 of us, to the Nosy Cow on London Road.
Yeah.
So, of course, I've got my phone with me, and there's always halfway through the meal the phone rings, and I couldn't hear it in the pub. So I went out the front door to take the phone call, and this guy's walking up the path to me, and he says, "What a good read." He didn't say, "How you doing?" Oh, they got, "What a good read." I says, "Yeah." He says, "Your book?" "Oh," I says, "You mean music, man?" "Yeah." He says, "My brother in Australia bought the book off you. You posted it back to him at Araby for my Christmas present." What a lovely story. So that makes a great start for Centre Stage. And it's just
good, Andy. Something for the future that will always be there. Everyone,
always be there. Yeah.
The book will always be there to read and so on.
And I saw maybe last week I would sell 3 or 4 copies.
Nice one.
It's a bit like the Forth Bridge.
Yeah, anybody out there wants one, get one. Get one of Andy, and that, you know, and it'd be a good read for you. What I'll do now, Andy, I'll summarise, because we've hardly scratched the surface. You know, we could go on and on and on forever and ever, but
that's been good. I've enjoyed it.
I've enjoyed it myself, Andy. You know, it's fantastic. I love music and I like all kinds of genres. I mean, I'll go home and watch Andre Rio doing a concert in Maastricht.
Yeah, we've been to that.
And then the next thing I'll be watching Led Zeppelin on Channel 11, you know, so...
We've been to Maastricht. If you had said to me that I would be singing at the top of my voice and I don't sing in tune, with a rain mac on, pouring down in Maastricht.
Yeah. Amazing, that.
Oh, that is music.
Yeah, that's I like it. I like it with the big band and everything.
Yeah.
Right, guys.
So that's good. Enjoyed it.
Yeah, fantastic. And thanks very much to Mark there. And don't forget, if you see the Misfits, or I think Mark's got about 5 gigs with the Superfly.
Yeah.
Probably one or two will be at the Stanix Holiday Park, because the celebrities there.
Are you there this Saturday? Yeah. Palm Springs are there Friday.
I might go for the weekend. That sounds all right to me. Right, thanks very much, guys. And
thank you.
I'm sure me and Andy will do another one, because we haven't really done nothing there. You know, it isn't a one-part show or anything like that. So hopefully we don't charge for this. Just press the like button. It's good for the algorithm and everything like that. And believe it or not, that's the first one. So let's hope you like it.
It's a bit like a night out at Buskers.
Yeah, it's just reminiscing, Andy. That's all it is.
Yeah.
Right, guys, thanks very much. And could I just thank Brian, the chairman of Carlisle City, for letting us use the clubhouse and that. Fantastic guy.
I've got news for you. You said bring some books. I sold 2 to Brian when I walked in.
There you go, you see. Paid up already, but okay, guys, thanks very much. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you.